The European Union stands at a critical juncture. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine has tested the bloc's resolve, highlighting both its unity and its limitations. Simultaneously, the EU grapples with a looming financial crisis, a consequence of the unprecedented measures taken to combat the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. This confluence of challenges has ignited a debate about the future of the EU, particularly regarding its financial structure and the potential for greater integration. At the heart of this debate lies a fundamental question. Could these crises push the EU towards a more federal system? The concept of a federal EU, often debated but never fully realized, entails a significant shift in power from individual member states to a central European authority. While the path to federalism is fraught with complexity, the current circumstances have breathed new life into the conversation. The EU's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, while essential for mitigating economic disaster, has created a significant financial burden. The bloc's ability to navigate this burden, coupled with the pressure to support Ukraine, will likely determine the trajectory of European integration for years to come. The choices made in Brussels in the coming months and years will have profound implications for the future of Europe. As we delve deeper into this complex issue, we will examine the key factors driving the debate, the potential benefits and drawbacks of a federal EU, and the historical precedents that offer valuable insights into this pivotal moment in European history. The COVID-19 pandemic cast a long shadow over the global economy, and the European Union was not spared from its devastating effects. To combat the economic fallout, the EU took unprecedented measures, including the creation of the €750 billion COVID Recovery Fund. This fund, hailed as a landmark achievement in European solidarity, provided much-needed financial assistance to member states struggling with the pandemic's impact. However, this lifeline came at a cost. The Recovery Fund was financed through the issuance of jointly backed EU bonds, marking the first time the bloc engaged in such large-scale borrowing. This move, while necessary, has significantly increased the EU's debt burden, creating a financial challenge that will reverberate for years to come. The majority of the Recovery Fund, approximately €390 billion, was distributed to member states as grants, providing immediate relief without adding to their national debt. The remaining funds were dispersed as loans, which, while offering favorable terms, still contribute to the overall debt burden faced by recipient countries. This unprecedented level of debt has placed significant strain on the EU's budget. As the bloc grapples with repayment obligations, difficult decisions lie ahead. The debate over how to manage this debt has reignited discussions about the need for greater fiscal integration within the EU, including the possibility of new EU-wide taxes or levies. The massive borrowing undertaken to finance the COVID Recovery Fund presents a significant challenge for the European Union. The repayment of this debt, scheduled to begin in earnest in the coming years, has become a pressing concern and a potential source of friction among member states. Initial proposals for repaying the debt, including the introduction of new EU taxes on digital services or carbon emissions, faced stiff resistance from some member states. These countries, often wary of ceding further financial control to Brussels, argued that such measures constituted an infringement on national sovereignty. Another option on the table involves increasing the contributions member states make to the EU budget. However, this proposal is also politically fraught, as some countries already grappling with their own economic challenges are reluctant to shoulder a larger share of the burden. The lack of consensus on how to address the debt repayment issue highlights a fundamental tension within the EU. While the bloc has made significant strides towards economic integration, fiscal policy remains largely a national prerogative. The COVID Recovery Fund debt, with its looming repayment deadlines, has exposed the limitations of this fragmented approach. As the EU grapples with this challenge, the stakes are high. Failure to find a sustainable solution to the debt issue could undermine confidence in the euro, sow discord among member states, and jeopardize the bloc's ability to respond effectively to future crises. Even as the EU grapples with the repayment of the COVID recovery fund, the prospect of further borrowing looms large. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine, with its far-reaching economic consequences, has fueled calls for additional joint borrowing to support both Ukraine and EU member states struggling with the war's impact. Proponents of further borrowing argue that it is essential for the EU to demonstrate its commitment to Ukraine's long-term security and reconstruction. They contend that the bloc must be prepared to provide substantial financial assistance to help Ukraine rebuild its infrastructure, economy, and society. Moreover, they argue that strategic investments in areas such as energy security, defense capabilities, and technological innovation are crucial for bolstering the EU's resilience in the face of growing geopolitical uncertainty. Such investments, they maintain, would strengthen the bloc's ability to confront future challenges and maintain its position on the global stage. However, the prospect of additional joint borrowing is not without its critics. Opponents argue that taking on more debt would place an unsustainable burden on the EU budget and could lead to higher borrowing costs for all member states. They express concern that such a move could undermine fiscal discipline and create moral hazard, encouraging reckless spending by some member states. The debate over further borrowing underscores the difficult choices facing the EU. While the need to support Ukraine and invest in strategic areas is undeniable, the potential risks associated with increased debt cannot be ignored. Section 5, a controversial solution, the EU tax debate. As the EU grapples with mounting debt and the prospect of further borrowing, a controversial solution has gained traction in some quarters: the introduction of new EU-wide taxes. Proponents of this idea argue that it is the most direct and transparent way to address the bloc's financial challenges and ensure the long-term sustainability of its budget. They contend that EU taxes levied on activities such as digital transactions, carbon emissions, or financial transactions could generate substantial revenue that could be used to repay debt, fund essential programs, and finance strategic investments. Furthermore, they argue that such taxes could help to address cross-border challenges, such as climate change or tax avoidance, that require a coordinated European response. However, the idea of EU taxes faces significant political hurdles. Many member states, particularly those with a strong tradition of fiscal sovereignty, are deeply skeptical of ceding further taxing powers to Brussels. They argue that such a move would undermine national autonomy and could lead to a loss of control over tax revenues. Opponents also express concern that EU taxes could disproportionately burden certain member states or sectors of the economy. They argue that such taxes should be introduced only after careful consideration of their potential economic impact and with the unanimous consent of all member states. The debate over EU taxes highlights the complex interplay of political and economic factors at play in the discussion about the bloc's financial future. While the idea of EU taxes may hold appeal as a means of addressing immediate financial pressures, it also touches on deeply held beliefs about national sovereignty and the distribution of power within the EU. The financial crisis of 2008 was a turning point for the European Union. It exposed the vulnerabilities in the economic structures of member states and highlighted the need for stronger financial integration. In response, the EU implemented measures to centralize financial oversight and regulation, paving the way for a more federalized Europe. As the European Union continues to evolve, the question remains, can it achieve a more united future? The challenges are numerous, from political fragmentation to economic disparities. Yet, the commitment to unity and cooperation among member states persists, driving efforts towards deeper integration and solidarity. Navigating the path to greater integration is not without its obstacles. Resistance from certain member states and growing Euroscepticism pose significant challenges. However, the EU's resilience and adaptability have been its strengths, allowing it to address and overcome these hurdles while striving for a more cohesive union. We stand at a defining moment for European integration. The decisions made today will shape the future of the continent for generations to come. As the EU faces both internal and external pressures, its ability to adapt and innovate will be crucial in determining its path forward. The journey towards a more integrated Europe is ongoing, and its outcome will have profound implications for the world.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.